Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. It's the day after the night before. We're back on Zoom. We've filed the lawsuit. It's not been successful just yet, but I'm here as always with my good friend Dan Wiseman. Dan, of course, everybody knows by now, Leeds United 0, Aston Villa 1. It still feels just as sweet the morning after. How are you doing, Dan?
Sweet music, that mate. Sweet music. Yeah, I'm really good, mate. It was a very different kind of Villa win last night, wasn't it? It
Yeah,
was not like we showed a different kind of grit, almost similar to what we showed at Southampton. I think at points it was that sort of dogged fighting style, but no, it's left me in a very good mood. Sorry, this morning. I'm now on food shop duty for me and my family, by the way. So that's why
no,
this had to be done at a level. So like that, I've really reached that stage of maturity now. So I'm feeling like a grown adult at this point. I'm going down shopping for five, doing the bit, feel like a proper family guy, man. So yeah, I'm feeling very responsible. And the good thing is with it being the night before, despite me having to do that food shop, I've got an absolute beast of a stat sheet here. I've done my homework and then some. So you guys are going to be getting all the facts today.
that's beautiful. I mean, I'm glad you said 11 as well because I, when you messaged me, I just woke up. So I had to roll
Yeah,
myself out
late
of
night for
bed.
you last night.
Yeah, I mean, it's becoming that, and I got to apologise to the viewers. These podcasts are coming out late because of me. I need to get my work schedule changed. So I hope none of my managers are listening. I don't think they know I do this, so it's okay. But here we are. We'll get into the game, Dan, because this is one that, thankfully, I was able to somewhat follow. Like I had 10-minute coverage, updates from managers, fair few Villa fans at work, which was great. And
Always nice. Always nice.
hearing my manager yell across the kitchen, Anwar Ghazi has put Villa 1-0 up. I actually just screamed, and people just looked at me really weirdly. But I've watched. I managed to watch the highlights of my break. I've watched the full game when I got back in last night, and I feel like, Dan, we are in a minority. There are people. There are people who of course share the same feelings as us. But we've backed Anwar since day one, man. And whenever he scores, it just feels so sweet, man. I love him. I think James Rushton tweeted saying Anwar El Ghazi is a cult hero. He absolutely is. What he has done for the club, the
100%.
individual moments he has had, the fact, I think if we'd have lost this game, it would have arguably been, not a game you remember in 10, 20 years' time. Leeds fans probably wouldn't see it that way. You know what they're like. But the fact that Villa have gone to Ellen Road, a place where historically we've struggled, the last time we won there was that time Henry Lansbury ended up knocking it in very late on, which, seems like a decade away in the year we failed to get promotion, I believe that was,
Yep.
in the player final year against Fulham. Ellen Road is a very tough place to go away. Obviously, last time we were there, all kicked off. I was there. My mate Sam sat next to Albert Adoma's brother. It was mental. I had someone in the away end have the audacity to tell me to calm down when it was all kicking off. It was a pretty mental away day,
Oh,
honestly.
it
I was like,
is.
hang on, are you even a Villa fan? I'd like to know who that guy actually was because I was livid. Ellen Road is a very hard place to go away from home, Dan, especially without your star man, Jack Grealish. And Anwar El
Mhm.
Ghazi stood up when it counted the most. He took his opportunity, and the whole movement from the goal, I think, summarizes what Aston Villa should be, and I think what we're actually trying to be. Now you're gonna have
Mhm.
to stick with me on this one, Dan, because Ollie Watkins scuffs the shot, right? But how often when we've had a shot and it's rebounded, keepers managed to parry it out, or there's been a half chance, there's never really been anyone there to finish that chance. And in a game where
Yep.
Villa only had 5 shots, I believe, Dan, El Ghazi made it count there. He picked up the scraps, a beautiful touchdown, and slotted home with his weak foot past Meslier. It was beautiful. I want to see more of that. I really do. Of course, I mean, I'd rather Ollie get the shot on target, of course, but to be that switched on that he, to kill the ball as he did, to slot it home as coolly as he did, and you just tell with his celebrations, man, this is standard Anwar El Ghazi
Yeah.
stuff. It really is.
Yeah.
And as I
100%.
say, it just feels so sweet when our guy is doing the business, man.
Yeah, bro, the Rotterdam Ronaldo. We've said it for time. He's our guy. No, mate, he's the only one that reacts to that shot. You watch the thing, and the reason why he paused, the reason why he thought he was offside is because everyone else stops. You see Ollie stack it after he takes that shot, and he wasn't the only player to feel victim to the Leeds pitch yesterday. But no, it was just summed up. Anwar was alive. He was the only one alive to the situation. And yesterday, he was rightly man of the match for Villa. You know, if you run through the stats, he scored the only goal of the game, most attempts and shots on target in the match out of everyone. In terms of the Villa, he created the most chances out of anyone, put the most crosses in. That's his 7th goal of the season in all comps. That's his best ever scoring season for Villa, and he's done it in just 18 games. And the most important stat of all this, Dan, is that that's 5 goals in his last 7 starts in the Prem. And I think we're starting to see Anwar El Ghazi nail down that starting spot, because when he's in form like that, you can't argue with those numbers. You know,
No.
yes, Anwar is at times, I don't think, I tweeted yesterday off the account that thing about Anwar's confidence just growing in stature immeasurably once he scores a goal. We need to see that every game from Anwar. You know, this is me being fussy, but I don't want to see Anwar have to score a goal to start playing like the Rotterdam Ronaldo. We all know it's there, Anwar, bro. Just do it from minute 1. You got it. That's what we want to see from him. But no, it wasn't too far after minute 1, actually. You know, that very early goal set us up right. And we then, as we said, operated in a very different way. And I think normally I am an absolute, I hate going a goal up and sitting back and defending and protecting it. You know, I think it's just anti-football. We did it at times last season. It didn't work. I think you just ask yourself to be broken down. But yesterday, that was important, because if you then keep going at Leeds and make it this really expansive transition-based game, you play to their strengths, you get sucked into one of those crazy, Leeds are one of the top scoring sides in the league. They've had the most goals in Leeds games than of any other side in the league. They've scored 43, conceded now 44. And if you get sucked into that end-to-end game, then, you never know how that game is going to end up. Whereas if you clog up your half and you make it difficult for Leeds, and you sit back, and Dean spoke in his presser about going into that low block, and you shut off those passing lanes and make it really hard for them, that's how you win games against them. And we didn't allow Leeds to get into their rhythm. They didn't have a single shot on target in the entire second half. So that system really worked for the Villa. And we closed out that game, and bar a Rafinha header right at the death, which he definitely should have made more of. Villa looks really comfortable and really good value for a win yesterday. It wasn't a vintage Villa performance by any means, but we operated the game plan to a T. And in a game where you're coming up against a manager like Marcelo Bielsa, and where the tactics of that game are so difficult, and it's like a game of chess at points, Dean Smith got it right.
I think the criticism may have came from Villa fans, from even ourselves, Dan, of the performances like Southampton away, where we were able to take some positives in terms of, look, it's a huge win on the road, but the performance just wasn't there. And dare I say, Villa got lucky throughout that game. We saw a totally different side to that. Villa actually grinded out a 1-0 win in, of course we were all nervous, but I would say a much more convincing manner than they have done in years, Dan. And the thing, and again, I'm going to have to mention it. We mentioned it off air. Dean, if you're not watching our 150-second previews, you should, because every single point we nailed to a T. So I'm happy with that.
But you nailed to a T. Go on, get the respect you need, mate.
See, I'm too humble, man. I'm too humble. But the thing is, right, and I've seen far too many discussions and debates about this certain player on Twitter in recent weeks. I'm actually calling you out, Cal. I know you're watching this. Marvelous Nakamba, the slander that Marvelous Nakamba has received on Twitter is totally uncalled for. And last night, Dan, again, I know we've already chewed in Anwar as man of the match. Can we go men of the match? I mean, there's got to be two.
I think there's a few players I want to run down.
Another player who has come in, we've never conceded when he started a game in the Premier League this season. That is a crazy statistic. And I'm going to do as I always do, Dan. I'm going to pull up the average positions. And it's funny, actually, because looking at Leeds and how they operated, they actually, in the preview, I highlighted them playing the 3-3-3-1 formation that they've played in their past sort of 4 or 5 games. But as you know, Marcelo Bielsa, being the tactical genius that he is, was, of course, going to change things up and keep things fresh. And he actually pretty much reverted to a 4-2-3-1 to try and match Villa. And that's what's really good about Leeds, if we're taking off of Villa, how how dynamic they are, how they can just change their system. You know, they've got so many players who can just slot in anywhere. You see Strauch come in at centre back, Ayling, you know, versatile as well. Liam Cooper can literally play anywhere on the pitch, and you know he will get results. It's really good that Marcelo Bielsa can do that, and it's interesting because when you're looking at these average positions, and if I remember, I'll put it up on the screen. Villa's is very much, you know, you can see what we were trying to go for the 4-2-3-1. Very much trying to put out fires for the rest of the game ever since we got the goal, which is great, and we did it with great effect. And I've criticised actually the positioning of Douglas Luiz over the past few games as someone. He's been virtually straight on top of Ezri Konsa if you look at the player maps, and I've put that down to I think he was the one who had COVID. I don't think he's fit. I think that's why we've seen Marv as well. I think Marv needed to come in. I think Dougie needs some of that time. Of course, there's been no confirmations, but I think it's fair to assume that given Dougie's, you know, ever present in the side, I think, you know, if he's fully fit, we see a double pivot of Marv and Dougie yesterday. I really do. But Marv is actually right on top of Ty. Well, he's actually behind Ty somewhat. You know, we obviously Ty stepping out a lot, try and win them headers. A monstrous performance from himself last night. But it really does go to show what the game plan was last night. It was nick a goal and defend, and we did it to a T. And as well, Elmo's position, as I highlighted in the preview, is much more where I would have preferred it to have been. He didn't commit himself too high up the pitch, didn't want to get exposed, which is absolutely brilliant because, you know, given his age, given his lack of pace, that's not really something that you want. I mean, you don't want a Harrison or Rafinha versus Elmo. Someone in the comments said Rafinha is the danger man, and yeah, I totally agree. Against Southampton, Rafinha started on that left-hand side, ended up switching though because I think it was Bednarek played right back due to Southampton's injuries. So it was always going to be a Harrison v Elmo battle that concerned me. But Dan, I mean, I think there's a lot of criticism that has come of Dean not necessarily having a plan B. I think that's certainly the kind of undertone of my preview was just kind of like, you need to be flexible. I think that kind of came across in all of the 5 points that I made. And we've actually seen it, you know, Jacob Ramsey getting his start, as a lot of people have called for, absolutely deserving of it as well. I think as well, a few people may have been wary to have put him in a game like this, of this stature, but Leeds are just a pressing monster. And Jacob is just a product of that in the academy. He runs, he doesn't stop running. So if anything, he would probably feel more home in a game like Leeds, to be perfectly honest. Gives, you know, a rocket right up Ross Barkley's arse. Morgan Sanson as well came on ahead of him, which, you know, seeing Dean's comments in midweek, Dan, in the presser, I felt like he was very much saying, without saying it, obviously, because I don't think he can come out and say he's not fit, but, you know, saying he's lacking that sharpness. And it very much felt like, oh, great, we're going to get another 60 minutes of Ross Barkley starting. But listen, Jacob came in, done very well. I just think Dean, everything yesterday, Dean got absolutely spot on, Dan. He really did.
Yep.
And it's 100%. Good to see, finally, because how long, Dan, have we been saying he doesn't have a plan B? Plan B is plan A, but with different personnel. The fact that he's actually willing to change it up game by game. Hopefully we see more of this in the future, Dan. This is what we want to see, this kind of flexibility in his approach to games.
100%. And it's good to see, you know, amongst all his positivity from Dean, he's still found the time for Trezeguet, for Anwar El Ghazi.
Yes.
Yes. Some things Plan B. Do not change. No, I'm only kidding, man. No, Dean got it spot on yesterday, man. He got it absolutely spot on. The team was right. I thought McGinn, who is you know, hasn't been at his best for a few games now, I thought he had a really good game. But no, you're absolutely right to pick out some star men there. Marv, that's 375 minutes of football in an Aston Villa shirt this season that he's played, and we have conceded 0 goals during that time. I think the only problem that Marv might have now is that we're playing a game against Sheffield United next, where perhaps it doesn't lend himself to a marvellous Nakamba. We're going to be on the ball. You know, we expect to be the dominant force in that game. And unfortunately for Marv, I mean, I absolutely think he deserves to start, but maybe it's a game that does lend itself to the likes of Dougie, who is the better ball player there. But no, all of that aside, JJ, absolute star boy. I thought it was a bold move to put him in instead of, like, he obviously deserves to be instead of Ross, but I thought it was Sanson that was going to get to start. I was not pleasantly surprised is the word I'll use when I saw JJ in there, but he backed his manager right up. I thought he was excellent yesterday, operated in really similar positions to Ross, but did it with to use that word again, he was sharper than Ross in those areas. He was more agile, played with a point to prove. His play was a lot cleaner, a lot tidier, operating in, as I said, those very similar positions to Ross. And so you got to give JJ full credit there. But you know, you sort of picked out Elmo there, mate, and briefly Tyrone. The main thing that I think we need to make the crux of this podcast is yet another clean sheet for the Aston Villa Football Club, man. It's a shutout. And it was really important that we did that yesterday because Leeds is that pre-game tally of 43 goals, which stayed as is their highest after 25 league games since they won the league in 1992. So this is a very, you know, high-scoring Leeds side, one of the most in the last 30 years. But the most important thing we did is stop Patrick Bamford, and I say that with a big fat smile on my face as an Aston Villa fan because, putting all of my allegiances aside, stopping Patrick Bamford is absolutely key to stopping Leeds at home. Leeds have only taken 2 points from the 7 games they've played at Ellen Road in which Bamford hasn't scored. You know, he's the joint top scoring Englishman, I should say, in the league this year. And so when you shut out Patrick Bamford at Ellen Road, Leeds the stats will show you, find it difficult to get going. And we've now won 12 games in the Premier League this year. 11 of those have come with a clean sheet. And the fact that we've only taken, we've lost 9 of the 11 games in which we've conceded. So keeping clean sheets is very important to this Villa side. And we actually, as a nice little, we only need one more away clean sheet to match the all-time top flight record, which is for most away clean sheets in the season. How crazy is that? From where we came from last season. It's absolutely wild, mate. As I said, Leeds didn't have a shot on target in the entire second half. And that shutout was great again. And Gareth Southgate was in attendance last night. And I imagine there's more than a few players which are starting to creep onto his desk. I think our friends over at the Villa Talk podcast have called it the target trajectory. Which he's angling himself for the Euros, and I really like that term. So shout out to those guys because that left back spot is Matt Targett is making a real claim because yet again he was absolute iron last night. He showed a tenacity. I mean, Leeds fans rightly Matt Targett was going in heavily some challenging. I think Leeds fans were feeling perhaps a little bit aggrieved, but as a Villa fan, I was just really happy to see that because last season, I'm going to go ahead and say I thought he was soft. At times, I didn't
Everyone
think he had
knows
that
how we felt about Matt Targett last season. Everyone knows that, Dan.
Yeah. And he's proven me wrong, man. And it's like it's never that I didn't want him to do that. It's just I'm absolutely buzzing that I was wrong about Matt Targett. I wanted to be wrong about Matt Targett the whole time, but the fact is, last season he wasn't up to it. There were times Wolves away. I felt that he was ducking out of games, and I just didn't fancy the battles with the Diamond. And I now watch him flying into challenges. Taking no prisoners. He's jumping with his elbows. You're like, yes, Matt, that is the aggression that we need from you because you have this swashbuckling fullback who usually plays in Matt Cash, and I feel like that's elevated Target's levels, and he's really rugged, really passionate defender, and I think that's really good to see. And no, you're absolutely right, mate. In that the back line was just great. Emmy flawless yet again. And Tyrone putting together a nice run of games. And I think it's about time that the Villa fans sort of made up for the criticism that he was getting a few weeks ago, because you're now starting to see just how crucial Tyrone Mings is to this Villa side. And the captain, let's not forget, for last night's performance. He's that vocal leader that brings it to every game. I mean, you know better than anyone, Dan, how loud Tyrone Mings is. I live in Sutton Coldfield, and on a match day, I'm fairly sure I can hear him from my backyard. That voice is booming, and when you put in defensive performances like that, you've got Tyrone Mings to thank.
Absolutely, it was great from Conte as well. And Dan, I've let you go this long without me giving you the XG, so it's only fair. It's only fair that I mentioned it. I don't think I mentioned it in the last podcast. You didn't, and I think this is actually only the second time this has happened in the Premier League this season, where both teams have had the same XG. And it's not resulted in a draw. So Leeds had a 0.98, and of course Aston Villa also had a 0.98 XG, which is really interesting because as we kind of alluded to earlier, Dan, Villa didn't have that many chances. 9 attempts, 3 from open play, 4 from set pieces. 2 counter-attacks, which is to be expected from Villa compared to Leeds' 13 attempts. 9 came from open play. 4, sorry, cough there. 4 from set pieces. I was just choking at how few attempts Leeds actually had. Because they score these goals from open play. Everyone knows what Leeds is about, and it's just really nice. And this kind of rivalry that's forged from that away trip to Ellen Road. And listen, I'm sure there's going to be some Leeds fans watching this. So hi guys, really appreciate you guys tuning in.
Sure.
I hope you enjoyed the podcast. It's a stupid rivalry. It is. It's stupid. It's funny. No, it really is. And if I'm trying to be neutral, it's great that both teams have enjoyed the spoils this time round. Of course, it would be great if Villa could have won both games after being embarrassed on our own patch. For Dean to really come up to Ellen Road and just tactically outfight Marcelo Bielsa. That's something that really I'm in a good mood about. So listen, Leeds fans,
rightly so.
Guys seem to be fairly triggered by that Jack Grealish tweet last night. But if you're going to give it, you have to receive it, and especially the amount of abuse that you guys direct to our captain. So not sorry about that one. But Dan, we're facing another club from Yorkshire next, South Yorkshire, albeit Sheffield United next, right? Am I right? Did I get that wrong?
You are
100% wrong. I had my doubts there. It's going to be a tough game. It is going to be a tough game. Sheffield United, I think for me, they're still nailed on as relegation, but we're seeing there's a bit more spice to them in recent weeks. We've seen them manage to get a few points on the board. I think it's too little, too late, to be perfectly honest. But these are the banana skins. They always come up. Villa, are they going to do it? Aren't they? There's going to be that added element of the game. There's going to be that heat of the ghost goal. They felt very hard done by earlier on in the season in our game at Villa Park. So, and you're going to, of course, go into this in as much detail as possible in 150 seconds, hopefully tomorrow or Monday, Dan. But it's going to be a really tough game, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. This isn't one where I feel like, I put up a tweet this morning from the account asking Villa fans because we've got a relatively, you never want to say it in the Premier League, but we've got a relatively nice run of games where you feel like we can really pick up some points. And we've got a very difficult run in. And so we need to start getting the points now. But we go to Sheffield United, then we welcome Wolves to Villa Park before going to St James's, and then 2 home games in a row against Spurs, which is one of the games in hand, I believe, and Fulham. So you got some really wonderful, and I think if we're taking ourselves seriously, double figures has to be the minimum in terms of points from those games. Like when you've got,
you were going to say goals, then I was like, wow, you're on that hype train, Dan. Really, wow.
Let's get it going. You got to beat Sheffield, you got to beat Fulham, Newcastle, and then I think if you draw, against Spurs, and then against realistically, you got to pick up double figures from those games. But Sheffield United is a game where. We saw in January the start of a potential Sheffield United renaissance. That they beat Plymouth Argyle in the FA Cup, which I know it sounds crazy, but you've got to consider that a good result considering how difficult wins have been to come by. They then went and got that crazy win at Man United. And if you remember the game after that, they went to the Etihad and they only lost 1-0. It was a really good performance from Sheff, but they came away and just lost 1-0. They then went and beat West Brom. Eyebrows were being raised. But recently, they've started to regress a little bit. They got battered by West Ham. They lost 3-0. They then lost to Fulham. At the time of recording, they play Liverpool tonight. So when you guys are listening to this pod, you'll probably know the result of that game. Liverpool, you'd expect to win that game despite their problems.
I don't know.
That's a difficult one, isn't it? Yeah, I think you
Burnley got a result.
Yeah, exactly. That it's a good time to play Liverpool, and so we'll know the result of that game. Sheffield United isn't an easy game because their games mean everything to them at this point, especially when they're welcoming teams to Bramall Lane, and they've got a difficult run of games coming up after the Villa where they play like Leicester, Chelsea, Arsenal, the like. So this game is a really big one for them. I'll run it through in the preview, but Villa have got a nice run of games now where we need to start getting some points under our belt because if I just get up our running, it's not easy. And I was looking at this morning. I was quite taken aback by that. So if you've got that right front run of games, which ends in Fulham, as I was saying, and then to close out the season, Villa have Liverpool, Man City, West Brom, Everton, Man United, Palace, Spurs, Chelsea. That's tough. That's tough. So if we want to be serious about Europe this year, these are the 5 games which I'm not going to say define that, because that's a little bit extreme, but make the difference. I think it's fair to say.
Absolutely, Dan. It's going to be tough, but listen, we're here with you guys all the way. There's going to be plenty of podcasts, plenty of match previews in 150 seconds coming your way from now to the end of the season. We have plenty of exciting stuff planned. Hopefully, we've got 2 big things that we're in the process of trying to pull off. I'd say, if giving you a Dr. Tony Math sum, I'd say we're 40-40 on both of them. So hopefully, 100 for you guys. It would be massive for the channel if we managed to pull these things off. So something to be excited for you guys, something to be excited for us as well, as we enjoy plenty of games over the next 2 weeks. Now, we've got 5 games over the next 2 weeks. So
yeah,
there's going to be plenty of content, and that is absolutely
you would love to see, right?
I mean, that's what the guys want. That's what you guys want, surely. So let us know in the comments below who your man of the match was. I'm sure it was Amwell Ghazi, but let us know anyway. And let us know how you're feeling ahead of the Sheffield United game. I almost said the Leeds game then. Oh my God, I'm so tired. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And just a massive shout out to everyone who subscribed recently. We've just passed 3,900. If we can make it to 4,000, then I'm sure Dan and I will do some form of giveaway. We'll have to think about that and let you guys know on the next podcast. But we're so close. If we can hit 4K before the end of the season, that would be massive. We've got some big stuff planned for the summer as well. With the Euros potentially coming home. So keep your eyes peeled for all that content. As I say, like, comment, subscribe, and up the Villa.